listen close. This is your brain on skills, listen close. And how we represent the real, listen close. This is your brain on skills, listen close. And how we represent the real. Yeah, definitely represent the kind, the vibe.
All right, so let's put the gloves on and talk a little bit of boxing today, because there's a lot of casual fans, specifically who haven't really watched the sport of boxing, and they claim that Lamont Roach, who's coming from 130 pounds, is, as a champion, as a WBA champion, has no chance against Gervonta Davis, who is the current champion and 135 pounds, WBA champion as well. The reason behind it is because, according to them, Gervonta Davis has power, and he also has boxing, and he's also undefeated, right? So you would think, according to that protocol, that Gervonta Davis would easily beat a boxer who's already lost in Lamont Roach, and who a boxer like Jamal Herring beat, right? Jamal Herring doesn't have too much power, but he did beat Lamont Roach. And Lamont Roach only has 25 fights and 10 KOs and 1 loss and 1 draw. So how could this guy have a chance against the all-powerful, almighty Gervonta Davis? Well, to start with, I want to mention this real quick. Gervonta Davis, even though he's undefeated, also ducked other fights against boxers who could have given him a lot of trouble. That includes Gary Antoine Russell, that includes Tevin Farmer, that includes Basilio Machenko on 130 pounds, that includes Shakur Stevenson, and that also includes Devin Haney, who he ducked in 135 pounds, no question, no doubt. So based on that, yes, you can be undefeated by avoiding boxers. And this is one of the problems with the sport of boxing today. People think that losing is something bad, and therefore, oh, you're a bum, you are no longer worth it in my book, right? So what I did for you is that I pulled some historical records of boxers who at their time had power and also boxing, not all of them, but most of them, and made a lot of money too during the time. Okay, so let's start with Max Baer. Okay, Max Baer, he had 66 wins, 51 KOs, 13 losses, and he never tied. Well, as a heavyweight, here comes Jim Braddock, right, Cinderella Man, who only has 46 wins, 26 by KO. He lost 24 times, and he has 4 draws. And he's able to defeat, via unanimous decision, a counter boxer on Max Baer, and he beats him. Unanimous decision, right? Max Baer was the favorite in that fight. Tommy Lohgren, another excellent boxer, a boxer who had a really low KO ratio. He beats Max Baer, and he only had, he had 90 wins, 14 KOs, 25 fights, and 10 draws. So Max Baer, one of the best heavyweights in history, lost against boxers who had no power, and he was the absolute favorite in all these fights. Okay, let's look at Billy Fox, another excellent boxer who was a light heavyweight during his time. Jake LaMotta, is accused of diving when he fought against him. That's questionable, but this guy had 58 wins, 47 KOs, 9 losses, and 1 draw, right? And he lost twice against Goose Lesnovich, okay, who had 80 fights, 24 KOs. So that's not a lot of KOs. 14 losses and 5 draws. And I'm obviously pulling, the end, the record at the just the end of their careers. But He beat him the first time via TKO in round 10 of a 15 scheduled bout. And then in the second one, he beats him via KO in the first round for a 15 bout match. So in the rematch, he destroys him. Billy Fox was the absolute favorite in that fight. And he got destroyed 2 times. Jack Dempsey, a boxer renowned for avoiding black fighters. Okay. But he was still good. He had 53 fights, 43 KOs. He had 6 losses and 8 draws. He lost via unanimous decision against Willie Meehan, who was kind of unknown. I mean, he was a good fighter, but compared with other fighters, unknown during the time. And he had 85 wins, 19 KOs, 30 losses, and 40 draws. Jack Dempsey, maximum favorite for that fight. Okay. So we got another one. Fred Fulton, the plasterer. People forget about Fred Fulton, but during the time of Gene Toney and Jack Dempsey, he was considered a boxer who had a lot of power. In fact, I think he had more power than Jack Dempsey, but that's debatable for a few people, not for me. But he did have 80 fights that he won, 72 KOs, 15 losses and 2 draws. And he lost against a light heavyweight coming up called Martin Burke, right? Who, by the way, in this fight, just to remind you, Fred weighed in at 211 pounds. Martin Burke, who was a light heavyweight, was weighing 175 pounds. So that's a lot of difference in weight. And he beat Fulton. He beat Fred, only having 87 wins, 23 KOs, 26 losses, and 6 draws. It's history. George Godfrey, one of the biggest and most devastating punchers ever, right? Also avoided by many white fighters during his time. He had 99 wins, 81 KOs, 21 losses, and 6 draws. And he lost against Jack Sharkey, who was actually one of the best heavyweights, in my opinion, of all time. But he lost against Jack Sharkey, who had 53 wins, 13 KOs, 13 losses, and 3 draws. And George Godfrey was definitely the favorite in that fight. Archie Moore. Archie Moore could do literally anything. One of the best boxers in history. No question, no doubt. People talk about Floyd Mayweather. He got nothing on Archie Moore. Nothing. This small, Floyd Mayweather Jr. compared with Archie Moore. 186 wins, 132 KOs. That literally puts him as the most devastating puncher of all time, especially based on opposition. 23 losses and 10 draws, right? He is destroying boxers from the Black Murderers Row. I mean, he's going just, I mean, he's just, this guy is just something else, okay? He fights a guy called Henry Hall, okay? And he loses unanimous decision with a boxer in Henry that had 57 fights, 18 KOs, 26 losses, and 7 draws. Okay? Henry Hall. Nobody knows who Henry Hall is, but now you do, because he beat Archie Moore. Let's go to another devastating puncher, Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers, another devastating puncher. Not a lot of boxers wanted to square with Ernie Shavers. Okay? 76 wins, 70 KOs, 14 losses, and 1 draw. And he loses against Bob Stalin, a known fighter, with 32 wins, 12 KOs, 31 losses, and no draws. Wow. Definitely Ernie Shavers was the favorite. Cleveland Williams, another devastating puncher. Very, very underrated. But he had 82 fights, 62 KOs, 13 losses, 2 draws, and he loses against a guy called Sylvester Jones, who had 12 fights, 4 KOs, 6 losses, and 1 draw. Finally, and I could give you more examples, but I limited it because if not, I could be here all day. But you have George Foreman, right, who most consider the most devastating puncher of all time. I disagree, but he had 76 wins, 68 KOs, 5 losses, no draws, and he gets beat against Jimmy Jung, right, when he was in his prime. And this is George Foreman in his prime, not when he came back, but, when he was in his prime, destroying everybody, right? I think this fight was after Muhammad Ali's fight. But he lost against a boxer who had 35 fights, 11 KOs, 18 losses, and 3 draws. So, all these boxers that I read to you were favorite against all the opposition that I named. So when you say that Lamont Roach has no chance against Gervonta Davis, if you're basing it on optics, yes, you're right. It seems like Gervonta Davis having an undefeated record, and it's interesting how these other boxers were not undefeated because they took everybody. They were taking all styles, something that Gervonta avoids doing because there's certain styles that he doesn't like. So just like Floyd, he doesn't want to face those styles, and he doesn't want to face those styles because his master Floyd probably taught him that his style would not match against Floyd's style, which is the style he's avoiding. That makes any sense. So Lamont Roach might not be this great boxer. He might be a pound for pound boxer. He might not be anything that's special or sells, or he might not be undefeated. He has a draw and a loss. But can he beat Gervonta Davis? Oh yeah, he can. Absolutely. Because styles make fights. And if he comes with the right plan, he can beat Gervonta Davis. Okay? We just saw recently when Jaime Munguia fought against Surase, the French boxer. And Jaime Munguia was the total favorite in that fight. And Surase knocked him out. But wait, how could he knock out Jaime Munguia when Canelo Alvarez couldn't do that? Styles make fights. That is the answer. Style make fights. So you got to understand that Lamont Roach, if he has a good game plan, in my opinion, I think if he clinches and uses his IQ and boxes with Gervonta Davis, always aware of that right hand, I think he can beat Gervonta Davis. But he's going to have to be cautious, and he's going to have a really good plan. Now, a lot of people, I don't know why, they think that Gervonta Davis is this Floyd Mayweather Jr. He's not Floyd Mayweather Jr. He gets hit a lot. If you watch a lot of his fights, he gets clipped a lot. Okay? He's no defensive wizard. He's not an Andre Ward. He is a boxer that gets clipped a lot. The difference is that because of his power, he hits you and he puts you down. Now, I'm not saying he can't box, but what I'm saying is that his defense is not at the same level, or his IQ is not at the same level as an Andre Ward or Floyd Mayweather Jr. Also, he's shown it because he avoids certain styles. Okay, so I'm going to root for Lamont Roach. He might lose this fight because Gervonta Davis does have an equalizer. Gervonta Davis might go and try to strike in the body and then, hurt him, or maybe he tries in the later rounds, let's say probably round 5 or 6, to put more pressure, and then Lamont Roach gets caught and it's over. But I do believe that Lamont Roach has what it takes to beat him, and I'll root for him, despite if he loses or wins, because he is a fighter that is trying to take the best fights. He's not ducking anybody, and I cannot say the same from Gervonta Davis. So from my end, I will cheer for Lamont Roach. Okay, so with that said and that history lesson, see you in the next video. Give us a like and subscribe in your #1 channel. Peace out.